Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video today. Today you're going to be doing something a little bit different with me today. Today you're going to be watching me cook one of my favourite dishes. Now, right now I am doing, it is basically a buttered chicken recipe, but it's different in the way I use plain flour with it. It's very easy to go along with, and I thought I'd just do it for you guys today, and hopefully it's a bit relaxing. I'm also doing it with some pasta as well, so hopefully the sound of that will set off some of your tingles. But first of all, we're going to go in and we're going to start on the pasta because that's what takes the longest. So let's go do the pasta. Okay guys, now that we're done with the pasta, we're going to get on to the main start of the meal. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need some chicken. I use inner fillets because personally they're easier to fit in the pan. You're also going to need just some plain flour. I'm not endorsing Asda, it's just very close to where I live, so it's easier to get. You're also going to need some butter. I prefer salted butter, but that's going to be for in a little bit, so we won't use that right now. Personally, I like to put some black pepper and some table salt into this, as it just makes it taste a little bit nicer. So what we're going to first go and do is we're going to take the flour, we're going to pour some into a dish just off to one side. So just do enough just to coat the bottom really and give it a little bit of height. This is just what we're going to roll the chicken in. Personally, I don't sieve it out, I just like to use my fingers just to get in, move it about a bit. I'm going to take the black pepper, which I prefer to use black pepper because it's got a little bit of a kick to it. And just sprinkle that in on top. I do like a lot of black pepper in my meals, it's just, I'm actually allergic to any type of chili spice, so anything related to the chili family I can't personally eat because I'm allergic to it. So I like to use black pepper because it's got still a little bit of a spice to it, but nothing too hot and it won't hurt. And then just a little bit of salt just on top. Warning, this isn't the healthiest of meals, but it's one of my favourites because it's just quite quick and simple to do. So I'm just going to shake that in. Put a little bit more black pepper because I can't see that much after shaking it. So I'm going to do that. Shake it up again. Okay, now while we're going to wait for that just to settle for a minute, we're going to now take our butter and put that to good use. Right, well now we're over at the oven and we've got a frying pan on the stove. We're just going to turn it up to a medium heat for now. And then we're going to take our butter. So you don't actually need that much of it. I'd say it's probably around, you probably need around about 50 grams of butter just to do this chicken. Depends how many people you feed and depends on how much you use. If you just basically want to use it, it's for me personally I use it as like a goldening agent. I don't know if that's the right words to use, but I'll put a little bit more in. So I'm just going to wait for that to melt in the pan now, because it's on a medium heat. So while we do that, I'm going to take us back and we're going to get the chicken prepared. Okay guys, so we're back over at the chicken area where the flour is just still sitting here. So now we're going to take the chicken. It needs to be defrosted chicken, by the way, just to be on safe side, because we don't want to do this with non-defrosted chicken, because you'll get ill. One second, I just need to get a plate to put this chicken on once I've put it in the flour. So, just going to pop that up at the back there. Okay, so now what you're going to do is, while you're waiting for the butter to melt in the pan, you're going to take a chicken piece, you're going to put it in the butter, just going to sit it in there for a second, just tap it down, make sure that side's all completely covered with flour, and you're going to flip it over, do the same on the other side, just like that. And what I just keep on doing is I keep on flipping it, just to get the flour, just to coat it, move it around in the dish, get some of that salt and some of the pepper on there. So it does taste quite nice. Okay, and once that's done, it should look a little bit like that, like start of a battered fish would be, but I don't know because I don't do battered fish, because I'm not like that. But anyway, so I'm just going to put that on the plate there. Now we're going to do the same with the rest. What I'd also suggest is to always be mindful of where your butter is in the melting stage at this time. So I'd suggest keeping an eye on it and staying quite close to it, because you don't want it to be too melted. Now, if you let this become how I would describe as too melted, it makes the chicken come out quite charcoaly once it's cooked. So you just got to make sure that it's not going to be too horrible, because then you just won't want to eat it. So right now I'm just covering this chicken up, keeping an eye, just keeping an eye on that butter every now and then, just looking over in it and make sure it's okay. Which for now it is, it's doing reasonably okay. And we've got 3 pieces of the chicken left. I actually quite like this chicken, because you can do it as just a full meal on its own or just a snack. So it is pretty nice, and hopefully it comes out nice today. So do that, flip it over, make that join the plate. And then just cover this chicken. What I like to do is try and use as much flour as possible, so if there's stuff sitting at the sides, just bring it in, move it like that. So pat it down, just make sure it's mainly covered. You don't have to get every little bit, but it makes it taste nicer when it's done. So do the same. Now it depends also on the size of your frying pan that you're using, how many you can do at once. I've got a medium sized frying pan on at the moment, so you can do, I'd say, about 5 or 6 at a time. So right now we're going to head back over to the oven, because the butter's almost melted, so there we go. Okay guys, and now we're right back over at the cooker slash oven, I don't know what you want to say, but we're right on one of the hobs. Now this butter's been melting for about 3-4 minutes while we've been doing the chicken, so it's kind of nicely melted right now. Look at all of that, it's lovely. So right now, what we're going to do is going to take our chicken and we're going to put it in the butter. But what I tend to do is I tend to use my hands just to do it, because I've been doing this for quite a while now, so I know kind of how I'm doing with this. But what I would suggest is using a pair of these. So they're really good. They're just a pair of barbecue tongs actually that I got last year, back when the barbecue stuff was coming off sale. So I got those for about £1. So they're pretty good for cooking. Some people like to use a spatula. I prefer to use those because they're nice just to grip with, and they make a nice cool sound. So first things first, we're going to take our first piece of chicken. Now we can't leave this chicken too long on its own, just in the flour. like it is, because it will get nasty quite quickly. It will get kind of gunky, so you've kind of got to do it just before you're ready to put it in the butter. So we're just going to take these and we're just going to lay them down. Depends on how high you actually have your heat, dependent on if the butter will spit back at you. Usually if you've got it on a high heat, if you want to do them quickly, the butter will spit back at you when you put the chicken in. So I'm just going to move these, apologies, just going to move these up a bit so they're right at the top, just so I can get some more chicken in. There we go, so there's that done. Got another 3 pieces to go in, so they should just fit in there. Okay, and 1, 2. As you can see, this one started to go a little bit what I would call gunky. So that should still come out alright as long as you kind of keep them on a reasonable level heat. So on mine I've got from levels 1 to 6. At the moment we're on about a 4, I think, let me have a look. We're on a 4 at the moment in heat, so I'm just going to turn that up a little bit. Just to a 5, just to get them started so they don't start going gunky. So it's just heating the butter up beneath them. And while we're doing that, we're just also waiting for the pasta. With the pasta I used boiled water straight from the kettle just to start them off so you're not waiting a long time. Personally, I don't put salt in my pasta, as personally I do not like the taste of salt in pasta. I don't know why, it's just something that's been personal to me since I was younger. So yeah, that's why I didn't put any salt in the pasta. Now we're just going to wait on this chicken, so I'm going to just leave you to that, just to watch this chicken. Ooh, and there we go, there's the first sounds. I'm just going to move the microphone a little bit closer. Ooh, and we have the pasta boiling over. Just take the lid off that. So the pasta's boiled over a little bit, so you're going to have the sound of water just boiling on the top of the hob there. And as you can see now around this area here, it's starting to bubble away. So we're just going to turn that back down to a 4. It's not going to stop the bubbling effect, it's just the way it heats up. So my oven's a bit different and a bit weird, as it really keeps it around the same temperature. It just depends on how long you've got it on for. Kind of, I know it's weird. So if you want stuff cooked quickly at a high temperature, but you need to start it on 6 and then lower it. But if you want something cooked slowly over time, you need to start on, say, a 1 or a 2. So now we're just going to let these cook. I'm going to move the microphone a little bit closer so you can hear the sound of them cooking. Okay guys, now you'll start seeing on the camera, we're on the side of the pieces of chicken, they're going kind of a white colour. That's the colour we want. We want that kind of whitey cream colour from the chicken. So now you'll start seeing on one side that the chicken, the flour, kind of comes off, which is kind of a sad thing really, but it's kind of what happens when you do it this way, because the butter kind of melts it. So we now flip it and you get this kind of nice goldeny colour underneath. So I'm just going to do that with all the pieces now. So start with the pieces you put in first, and then kind of try and work your way to the last piece you put in, because it just works easier that way. And also you've got the point of the piece you put in last hasn't been cooked in as long as the piece you put in first. So also try and keep your food that you're doing, so say you're putting the first piece in, try and put it away from the heat element as much as possible. Stop it from getting cooked any quicker than all of the others. So now we're just going to let that cook. I'm going to knock that down to a number 3 now. So yeah, I'm going to let that go, and I'll put the microphone against it again so you can hear it. I don't know if that'll trigger anything, but there we go. Right guys, so while I let that cook, I'm going to go and take the pasta off camera and I'm going to serve that while we wait on this lovely chicken. So I'm going to put the microphone back close to the chicken so you can hear it all going away. Also, what you want to check with this chicken is make sure you're not overcooking it on one side. So really what I try and do is leave that for as long as possible until you get this golden brown colour here. That makes it just that little bit crispier. Then I like to flip it back over to the side you started with first. So that can be kind of finished cooking. Sometimes this can get a bit messy and yes, it will mess up your pan. What I also suggest with your frying pan is leave it after you're done. Leave it to cool down, let the butter solidify, and then take that out separately so you'll clean it differently. We're just going to let that happen while I serve the pasta out separately. Sorry about that, guys. Right guys, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to take you back over and we're going to serve these up because they're looking lovely and done. So remember to turn off the oven before you do, because you don't want to go out of the room and leave your oven on because that is a nasty fire.